Hi there, my name is Gabriel and welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to show you how you can migrate your .NET Core 3.1 applications to .NET 6. Now, whether you like it or not, Microsoft has released a end of life or end of support timeline for .NET 5 and also .NET Core 3.1. So if you do have any applications running on those stacks, it is important that you think about upgrading them as soon as possible. So here's the link from Microsoft. If you scroll down, you can see the timelines. And if you want something more visual, then you can just scroll further. Now, I have done this, or these steps I'm going to show you now, a few times over the last few weeks. And I have to be honest, there was nothing major complicated about the process. It's I have identified about 6 steps, and those steps I will show you in this video. But overall, the outcome was successful. So, in order to try this by yourself, I do have a starter repository that you can download from this link over here. So I have the before and so I have the after and the before. And in that repositories, you will basically find the following application. So it's a survey form application. It is .NET Core in the back end, and then the front end, it's SPA application. The application consists of a core project, a data layer project. The data layer project has EF Core 3.1 included. Then I have a service layer with AutoMapper, and then the front end is a .NET 5 application. And then, of course, the SPA application is a Angular 11.2 app. That application I won't upgrade in this video, but in a subsequent video, I will upgrade that as well if you are interested. So the first thing to do is to download the before starter code. And if you run it, it's going to look like this. All right, so the next step is to get the application compiled and running so that we have our baseline, and then we can do the .NET 6 migration. So firstly, let's open up the application, the solution. Once the solution is open, we have to do a few steps. The first thing is we want to set the survey project or survey data project to startup. We want to open up our NuGet package manager, and we want to create our database. Right, so I'm going to go and click on survey data and type in the command update database. That essentially will run this migration. And once done, we'll have a database in our local DB instance. There we go. There's the database. Done. Now we can set back our application startup to the web API. The next thing is we want to get our SPA running. So I'm going to go into the SPA folder. I'm going to open up a terminal. I'm going to type in npm I to install the npm packages. And while that is running, I am going to start my web API. And by the power of video editing, I am going to fast forward this until we have all our npm packages installed. Now that our Angular application is running, I'm going to go back to my Swagger browser and open up a new tab and type in localhost. And as you can see, the application is starting up. The SPA application is able to connect to the backend API. If we look at some of the drop downs, there's data there. I'm going to type in Mickey Mouse, fill in a couple of questions, press submit. I'm going to change this top route to all. And as we can see, there we have our entry. All right, so everything seems to work. And now it is time to do the migration. All right, so the next step is to tell our projects to start using .NET 6. In order to do that, we need to change the target framework monikers to version 6. So in Visual Studio, you can select a project and then change the target framework to 6. I'm going to copy this and I am going to paste this over each project moniker. Okay, I'm now going to save all of this. Once we have done that, we can go and delete the bin and obj folders. So in the application or in the Visual Studio, I'm going to select this button over here to show all files. And I'm going to delete my bin and obj folders. Then I am going to right click on my solution, clean solution, and rebuild it. All right, so luckily we don't have any errors, which is a good thing. All right, so let's go down. The next step is to update our package references. Now, this is slightly different than what Microsoft recommends, but I prefer to do it this way because it is easier to kind of get a view of what is pending to be upgraded. So for each project, what you need to do is you can go and right click on the project, go to manage NuGet packages, and go to the updates tab and just see if there's anything that is pending to be updated. So for the core project, there's nothing, which is good. I'm going to do the same for the data project. All right, so here it tells us, okay, there are 2 projects that needs to be upgraded. So I am going to select on the first one, and there will be a pre-release version maybe, but what you're looking for is you're looking for the latest stable release of that particular package. So I'm going to select on latest. I'm also going to deselect this include pre-release so that we don't see it. Right? I'm going to go and update. I'm going to accept everything, and I'm going to do exactly the same for the next project for the next NuGet package as well. I'm going to go to the next one. All right. Now, sometimes you're going to have third-party, well, most of the time, you're going to have third-party NuGet packages, and you're going to have to upgrade them as well. Well, at this point, it's kind of essential that you upgrade, but if you have any issues with packages, you can always step back to a previous version to see if it compiles. But most of the time, if you go to the latest version, it should just work. All right. So lastly, the API project. All right, the errors below you can ignore because these errors are all related to Angular, and it's just Angular does, well, Visual Studio in this state it is right now, it doesn't understand most of the files that are in the project. So just ignore them for now. Once again, we can right-click, clean solution, and rebuild. So far, so good. All right, so step 4 completed. Now, step 5, we want to upgrade to a minimal hosting model. So essentially what's happening here is that Microsoft is combining these two files, or the content in these two files, into a single file. And essentially everything is going to come down to the program.cs file. All right, so let's get started with merging these two files. So what you can do is you can go to the blog post and you can copy these lines of code, go to your program.cs file, and go to the end of that file. For this project, I am going to delete the startup lines of code, and then I am going to go to my startup file, and I'm going to take all of these lines of code, copy them, go to my program.cs file, and paste them. Then I'm going to do some modifications here. I'm going to type builder.services. I am going to import some namespaces. Let me rather just do it like this. Control and the dot key on the keyboard. I'm going to do this builder dot services for each one of these lines. And also bring in the other namespaces. All right, so let's see what else is in my startup.cs file. So here we have the configurations. So let's copy all of this and copy that below our builder initialization. So here we don't have to make any changes. Bring in some namespaces. Okay, so here we have one. We need to just type here app.environment. We also have a Swagger namespace here that's missing. All right, so as you can see, it's fairly straightforward. You just include the namespaces. All right, so once you have resolved all those error messages, you can now delete the alt code. So we're going to go and select all this alt code. And we're also going to delete the startup file. We can, if we want to, we can delete all the old and unreferenced using commands as well. But for now, let's just keep it simple and recompile the application. All right, so everything seems to be compiling. So the next step is to run the application and see if it actually does run still. So I'm going to click on execute. I'm also going to run my SPA application. So I'm going to type in npm start. Once my Angular application is up and running, I'm going to go to my browser again and type in localhost. And as we can see, we are able to run the application. Everything seems to be fine. So I'm going to type the Gabriel Leroux. I like everything, but I don't have a yacht. And I don't, yeah, I do like to swim. Let's click on submit. And all. And there we go. Our application has been upgraded or migrated successfully to .NET 6. And that is how simple it is. So if you want to, you can just go and have a look at some of the other resources I have here. This is the Microsoft documentation to do that. Of course, like I mentioned earlier, every project will be slightly different. I am using a web API project with a Angular frontend. If you are running a MVC application, your steps might be slightly different, but have a look at that resource. It's quite insightful. And as you can see, I have applied some of those steps and it works perfectly. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave those comments below this video and I will chat to you in the next video.